Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing a premiere draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, one of the best draft formats of the year, definitely my favorite format of the year. Really cool format, had a lot of great mechanics. Reconfigure being a really cool one where the card gets to be an equipment and a creature. You could equip it elsewhere. There's also flip sagas like this, where you get a saga on the front half and a creature on the second half once you complete the saga. There's also ninjutsu being a really cool mechanic, letting you return an unblocked creature to your hand, put it into play tapped and attacking, and most of the archetypes in the format do play out pretty well. Pretty solid color balance in the format, as well as the potential for some like 5-color strategies, 3-color strategies if you really want to, with some mana fixing. So pretty cool format. Very excited to have it back on Arena, and it is what I will be drafting these next few days. So without further ado, let's take our pack one, pick one. I'm just going to scoop up this rare. This one's a little hard to get it to work well. You definitely need another creature on the board that is modified in some way. That means it has to be equipped, enchanted, or have a +1/+1 counter on it. But if you can get that kind of requirement down, then you have a way to just keep spitting out 5/5 flying dragons, which is very, very powerful. So I'm going to scoop up Goro there and see where that leads us. In this pack, we've got a Jukai Naturalist, which is great for a green-white enchantments deck. We've got Prodigy's Prototype, which is pretty powerful for a blue-white vehicles deck. Leech Gauntlet would make the most sense with our Goro at the start. I do like red-black kind of artifact-focused decks in the format, just because I like artifact decks a lot. They tend to focus on sacrificing artifacts for good value, but you can also have some modified synergies, like using Leech Gauntlet to equip a creature and then having a modified card for Goro. I also just like Leech Gauntlet a decent amount in the first place. I think I'm going to scoop up the Leech Gauntlet here, but both these multicolored cards are quite powerful as well, and the Fall of Lord Conda is alright. It's very good when your opponent does play a card with mana value 4 or greater, but because of that restriction, there are going to be some times where you will play it without a legal target on your opponent's field, and that can be rough. So pack 1, pick 3, we could scoop up a Lethal Exploit here, which is fine. Clawing Torment is also fine if you're very aggressive, because they're shutting off the ability of a card to block and dealing damage to your opponent every turn. Do not like the enormous Energy Blade. Having to tap your creature every time you move this around is way too hefty a cost for a 3-mana equipment that costs 2 to equip every time. So not a big fan of that. If we're delving off color, there's Era of Enlightenment here, which is a pretty great common. All of the sagas are pretty good value for their cost. Then there's like Season of Renewal, which is a nice late game play for any green decks in this format. Little 2-for-1 there, picking up an enchantment and a creature. Could also take Simian Sling, but I don't think I'm taking that over Lethal Exploit or Clawing Torment, just as good removal. I think I'm going to take the Lethal Exploit here. Just a nice instant speed little removal spell. Ooh, a lot of good green in this pack. Jukai Preserver, Harmonious Emergent, both of those are just really powerful kind of enchantment creatures. And then Greater Tanuki's nice for being a big trampler late game. They can also channel itself early game if you just need to pull out some lands. Imperial Oath is one of the best commons in the format if we're in white, or if we splash white even. Being able to scry 3 and get 3/2/2 Samurais is quite the big impact on turn 6, because that scry is huge. And of course you're getting 6 power and toughness on the board. Selfless Samurai is also pretty good, can sack to get indestructible. This looks like a pretty great sign for green, so I kind of want to take one of these good green cards, maybe push into green-black. Don't like Mukotai Soul Ripper very much. Crew 2 to make it a 4/3, then you have to sacrifice stuff to give it menace. Don't love that a lot. I think I'm going to take like Jukai Preserver here, just the best green common in this pack, and see if we can head that direction. Now we've got Network Disruptor. Careful Cultivation is fine, and Clawing Torment. I think Network Disruptor is the best common here. Historian's Wisdom is a fine uncommon though. Gives something +2/+1. If that card has the greatest power on the board, you draw a card, so you really want the greatest power on board for that to be good, but can definitely be good. I think I'm going to take Network Disruptor. That feels a little late for that card. Leaves us open to being blue-black ninjas or something. Most everything in this pack is pretty filler. There's like the big old walking skyscraper if we really need a game ender, but I think I just want to take Jungle Hollow here. Get some mana fixing towards green-black. Ecologist Terrarium is also fine, mana fixing for any deck. But I think I'm down for the Jungle Hollow. Yeah, these green cards aren't very exciting. Pretty filler. Take the green-black dual land. Alright, we get a fine ninja here. Mukotai Ambusher in black. Very good with any creatures with enter the battlefield effects, as all ninjas are. And there's not much else going on in this pack. Ninja's Kunai is fine. It gets you some removal into any deck since it is colorless, but not early enough for me to really think I need that removal. And I'm happy to be in black. That part is for sure. We get a really late Dockside Chef here. 1 mana, 1/2. You can spend 2 mana to sack an artifact or creature and draw a card. So it is really, really good throughout the game at getting you a consistent amount of value. It's really good if you can get some treasure tokens, although there aren't very many treasure producing cards in this format. Fang of Shigeki to stick towards green-black, or we could take Bronze Plate Boar here, which is a fine reconfigure card, and then we've got another card that can help hit our modified creature count for Goro. I think I'll take the Bronze Plate Boar here, but I don't think Fang of Shigeki would be that bad of a pick. Just leaving ourselves open to the potential red-black Goro deck still here. Brute Suit is fine. Heir of the Ancient Fang is fine. They're both kind of filler. I guess I'll take the colorless one. And another Brute Suit, Historian's Wisdom. Golden Tail Disciple's pretty good, but be delving into a 4th color here. I think I'll take Historian's Wisdom, so we're really just between black-red or black-green. We're definitely in black. Shrine Steward's actually a solid card if you have enchantment-based removal like Clawing Torment. There's another black enchantment-based removal card we could pick up that's really good with it. The 4 mana aura that gives +1/+1 and you destroy a creature or planeswalker when it enters the battlefield. That card is perfect with Shrine Steward. And obviously if we pick up any shrines, it's good with that too. So that card's exciting enough to take that over the black card in the pack, the Clawing Torment, because it can pan out pretty well. We're definitely black-red or black-green. I don't think we're going to be both. I like our black cards a lot. I like our red rare an okay amount, a decent bit. Alright, Songshaper's fine filler in the red-black deck. You tend to have a pretty high artifact count there. Red and black are both... Well, red is a very artifact-focused color in this set. Black is a split between artifacts and enchantments. Alright, what did we get here? It looks like basically nothing for red-black, but we got a pretty solid green card. Generous Visitor here. If we go green-black, we'll have a decently high enchantment count. Yeah, I guess there's Kami of Terrible Secrets. If we can get an artifact and enchantment on board, this card ends up being really good value. Chainflail Centipede is fine, but it should hopefully wheel. It's not the most exciting thing ever. We should be able to get that passed back to us. Ironhoof Boar, this is the other boar, is nice for being a big old artifact creature in the late game that also just cycles as a combat trick early game if you don't have the mana for it. Roadside Reliquary is fine, but I don't think I'm taking land over the other stuff here. I'm kind of interested in trying out the Kami of Terrible Secrets in this deck, because that could slot well if we go black-red or black-green. It'll slot really well, whereas if I just take like Chainflail Centipede, obviously that's not going to be very good in the black-green deck. And then if I take the green card, that's obviously not going to be good in the black-red deck. So what do we have now? Got a Master's Rebuke and a Greater Tanuki in green. We have Mukotai Ambusher in black, Ironhoof Boar in red, bunch of fine cards. You're Already Dead isn't great. It's kind of like a worse version of Blade Brand, something that's like 2 mana, give death touch to something, draw a card. This is just harder to use and less consistent, so I don't love it. Don't love that you can't cycle it without a creature that's been dealt damage being on the board. I don't really have a super like late game card here, but take another Ambusher, make sure we have cards that'll fit into either deck we end up playing. Yeah, take the Mukotai Ambusher here. That'll be good for black, red, or black, green. Virus Beetle's very good with double Mukotai Ambusher. With any ninjutsu cards, this is a nice card to be able to bounce back to your hand and recast for cheap, so I like taking the Virus Beetle here, maybe wheeling one of these ninjutsu cards. Invoke Calamity is not the greatest. It needs a very, very specific deck. You need a very heavy red count and a very high instant sorcery count, so I'm not going to scoop that rare up here. Screen cards are good, like Azusa's Many Journeys is probably what I'd take, but then there's Master's Peak, which is also good, and Bamboo Grove Archer is also pretty good. Just high power defender there, could really slow your opponent down. Wow, pick 4 Tameshi Reality Architect. This card's actually busted. It's actually bonkers. 3 mana for a 2/3. Whenever one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. Triggers only once per turn, but for a white and X, you return a land you control to your hand and return an artifact or enchantment with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You get some huge value off that recursion. We could take Oni Cult Anvil, Virus Beetle here, or we could speculate on Tameshi and try to push into blue-black with a white splash to get Tameshi working. Oni Cult Anvil is a sweet card. This card's so good at seeing some standard play. It's very good with Virus Beetles and stuff too. Don't think Oni Cult Anvil or Virus Beetle will wheel here, so if we want one of these two, we have to pick which one. I think I'll take Oni Cult Anvil. Change my mind on Tameshi there. We get to go for the really nice red-black sacrifice deck now, and then we have Experimental Synthesizer, which fits really well into there. For 1 mana, you basically draw a card off the top of your library, but you can only play it this turn, and then when this card leaves the battlefield, you do the same thing, exile the top card of your library, you can play it this turn. So this is a great card to sacrifice towards your Oni Cult Anvil or your other stuff. Really like the Synthesizer. It also gives us a creature later in the game if we need that. 3 mana to make a 2/2 Samurai with Vigilance, and also exile the top card of our library to try to cast it. Dragon Spark Reactor is fun. It does end up being pretty slow. It's a really bad top deck in the late game, so these are the reasons that I prefer Synthesizer, because Synthesizer is just better at more points in the game. But Dragon Spark Reactor is a fun card, and it can be a win condition. I don't think you're taking something really bad there by taking Dragon Spark Reactor. It's just not as good or consistent in my opinion. I'll take another Synthesizer. I'll take as many of these eggs as I can get. In the red-black deck, we're all about cracking eggs to make some omelets. Give me the Experimental Synthesizer, number 2. Take a red-green dual land now, so we could potentially splash some of this green. Or I could take Roadside Reliquary, potentially draw some cards. I'll take the Reliquary. I think our card quality in red-black's looking high enough. We might be able to stick to just the 2-color deck here. We don't really have any good enough green cards to be that happy about splashing. Patchwork Automaton's perfect for this color pair. Red-black, again, we're going to be playing a very artifact-focused deck, so the Automaton can get quite big quite quickly. It's also got that Ward 2 being hard to target it. Really nice pickup there. Do like where we've ended up here. Now we have the Chainflail Centipede coming back, a nice cheap little aggro creature that can reconfigure to help trigger our Goro Goro. I'm going to take that over the Ironhoof Boar because it's going to fill out our cheaper slots in the curve and help trigger Goro Goro. But Ironhoof Boar is good. In a vacuum, I would take Ironhoof Boar before I would take Chainflail Centipede, but for this particular deck, I'm going to take that Centipede, and now we wheel the other Ironhoof Boar and scoop that up. What else do we have coming back to us? Could wheel some goodies here. Another Mukotai Ambusher, that is a goodie. Samurai is fine as well. Obviously we're not a Samurai deck, so we're not going to make the greatest use of it, and we want to have our artifact count quite high in this color pair, so definitely going to take Mukotai Ambusher over that, but that's not a bad card. Papercraft Decoy is okay in this archetype because when we sacrifice it we can spend the 2 to draw a card, but Steelbreaker is also okay. I think I'm going to go Steelbreaker over the Papercraft Decoy. This gives us a creature that can sack our early artifacts or our artifact tokens or anything like that to get a big buff. I don't love the Ogre, but I could play it. I don't think I'll be playing the Raito Sentinel or the Rito Sentinel in this color pair, though. I don't think we really want a really slow defender kind of card. Alright, what have we got here? I would love to wheel this Undercity Scrounger. The only deck that like really wants this card is this deck, the black-red sacrifice deck, where we can consistently have things leaving the battlefield to be able to get those treasure tokens. A lot of decks would want a Voltage Surge though, so I think we have to take this Voltage Surge quite highly and get a nice piece of removal here. 1 mana for 2 damage to a creature, Planeswalker at instant speed. We can make it 4 damage if we sacrifice something, so Voltage Surge is a really nice pickup. Mirror Box isn't really going to do anything. Naomi's probably the best card in this pack, but I'm not trying to splash much here. There's just not... Treasure isn't really a theme in this format. There's pretty much only the Undercity Scrounger to get those treasure tokens to help splashes. It's pretty much the only one. I do like Searchlight Companion a lot for this kind of deck, but I also like Reinforced Ronin and Gravelighter. Gravelighter making each player sacrifice a creature. We are likely to have more expendable creatures than our opponents. Otherwise, if a creature died this turn, we can just play it and draw a card instead of having people sacrifice creatures. I think I'm going to go... This is a hard choice, but I think I'm going to go Gravelighter over Ronin or Searchlight Companion, but those are both also good. If we could wheel one of those, that would be sweet. If we can't, maybe we wheel Undercity Scrounger. Best card in this pack is Cap Attack Record. That card is disgusting. Comes in with a Death Touch counter, and it ninjutsus as well. And when it hits a player, you can remove that counter to exile an artifact or enchantment they control, which is a lot of permanence in this format. So we get past an Ogre Head Helm here, which is pretty perfect for our deck. It's an artifact creature, and it's a reconfigure creature to help us get our modified creature count up. Yeah, really nice card. Like the Ogre Head Helm here. If it weren't in the pack, Iron Apprentice is okay in this deck because it's a 1 mana immediately modified creature. Other than that, there's like Chainflail Centipede, maybe Shattered States Era. Just some okay stuff. Really happy to see Ogre Head Helm there. Another ninjutsu card, the Dokuchi Shadow Walker, or there's the Papercraft Decoy again, the Tawashi Song Shaper. Goshintai of Hidden Cruelty is okay as your only shrine. Definitely would prefer to have more, and it's an enchantment creature, which isn't a particularly good type for us. We do have a Shrine Steward in the deck, so it's possible we get a sick 2-for-1 off of that card with Goshintai. Yeah, I'll take this Goshintai. We aren't passing up anything particularly amazing in taking that. Now we have another Experimental Synthesizer or a Searchlight Companion. Creature counts at 19 here. We already have some room to cut some bad creatures. Just going to take another egg. All the Experimental Synthesizers all day long. Alright, another Roadside Reliquary here. Walking Skyscraper for big endgame card. Kami of Industries, fine with all these unstoppable ogres and stuff. Virus Beetles, it's good with too. Don't feel like any of these cards are going to make our deck all that much better, so I'd rather just take a land that can pretty much always make the cut. Just cycle it to draw a card when we need it. Like getting more aggro creatures in here. Grab another Song Shaper. Return to Action's okay too, but I think our non-creature slot's going to be all filled up by these eggs. Kind of self-imposed. A little restriction there. All non-creature cards are going to be experimental synthesizers. Now we have pretty much nothing. The Aki Ronin or the Reckoner Shakedown, or You Are Already Dead. I don't want to play any of those. Undercity Scrounger Wheels, get on in the deck. Get on in the deck. You are so perfect with an Oni Cult Anvil. It is nuts. Don't know about the Brute Suit. Don't know about the Unstoppable Ogre. Anything else we want to cut here? Ideally, cut some non-artifact creatures. Maybe we don't have enough enchantments for Kami, Shrine, or Goshintai to be all that good. Yeah, we only end up with the one card that the Goshintai can even pick up. This is a 25 card deck right now because these lands aren't part of the card count. I think I'd rather get aggressive than get that Papercraft Decoy to draw cards because we have triple synthesizer to help with card advantage. Okay, so looking at this deck, we need to cut a little bit. We might cut the Scroungers because they might just be too slow. Could play one Ogre, although I already did sideboard the other one. This card is just really fun. to have this on board alongside the Onikult Anvil. It's a little narrow though. We only have the one Onikult Anvil. It doesn't do all that much without it. It is a 1/4 in our aggressive strategy. We are cutting those scroungers. We're at 41 cards here. We could cut a land because our Ironhoof Boar uses it works as a 2-mana combat trick in addition to being a endgame 6-drop. So our curve is quite low here. I think we can 16 land this, just get an aggressive Rakdos Artifacts deck here. Yeah, I like this a lot. Is there anything I cut out there during pack 3 that I really think I should be running? It's possible we're aggressive enough for these unstoppable ogres. I just really hate 1 toughness creatures that cost like 3 or more mana, because they're trading into your opponent's stupid little network disruptors and virus beetles and stuff. And it's just a massive trade down there. Other than that, we could play a Goshentai without a Shrine Steward, but that's not the most exciting thing ever. It's also a pretty slow card, a 2/2 there. Can shred some small creatures from our opponents, but I think we're trying to be really kind of breakneck speeds here. With our mountain of 2-mana creatures we can drop down. Yeah, and then when we run out of big things to do, we start reconfiguring to just make one really big creature each turn to keep up with however big our opponent's cards are. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need the ogres in here. I think we just cut those and we kind of just had it. I think this is the list we want. I think this is the deck. Alright, here is a look at the deck we'll be playing for our first draft of the return to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty on Arena. This is going to be a red-black artifact-focused strategy. Good amount of sacrifice synergies with Onikult Anvils and experimental synthesizers. Voltage Surge can sack the synthesizer, which draws us another card off of the synthesizer and gets us that extra damage. The Onikult Anvil can sacrifice the synthesizer and get that value. As we sacrifice things to the anvil, we're creating another artifact each turn, which can trigger our cards like Tawashi Songshaper, give them an additional power for the turn, or our cards like Automaton, give them a permanent additional +1/+1 counter. The Steelbreaker is another outlet we have to sacrifice those kind of cards. And then other than that, we just have a lot of aggressive red and black creatures and some modified synergies. We have Goro here being able to spit out some 5/5 flying dragons if we are attacking with a modified creature. We've got a few ways to get modified creatures. We of course have Leech Gauntlet to reconfigure. So if we have an equipped creature that's a modified creature, we have Ogrehead Helm as well. Double Chainflail Centipede, Bronzeplate Boar, lots of ways to get a creature equipped here. And also we have the Patchwork Automaton, which could be a creature with a +1/+1 counter, which counts as a modified creature as well. So just a pretty standard red-black aggressive deck for this format, with a lot of little cross synergies there between modified, sacrifice stuff, and just artifact tribal in general. Should be a pretty fun deck, and I'm very excited to be playing some more Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So without further ado, let's head into round 1. Alright, here we are in Game 1 of the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Premier Draft. We've got a pretty nice opening hand. Dockside Chef into Songshaper with a nice later game synthesizer here to get us a little out of this flood. I suppose we could exclusively draw non-lands and then we're not really flooding out here, but it's not particularly likely. We're probably going to hit a few more lands here, which is not ideal. But again, synthesizer, especially with Dockside Chef, really good way to get out of that. The Chef can sacrifice the synthesizer to draw a card. We basically draw 2 cards there. That being said, we could also just sack the synthesizer to itself. That way we get a 2/2 Samurai while we do that. I think I want to play... I think I want to play synthesizer, and if I just hit a land, I play Virus Beetle. Because if I hit anything that costs 2 or less, I can still just cast it, which I guess, let's see how many of my deck is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. plus 11 lands, 22 out of the 30 cards. About 2/3 chance we hit something playable here instead of just failing. It's not the end of the world if we fail to. That's a decent enough odds. I'm just going to go for it. And we did hit the land, which is beautiful. So now I just get to slam down Virus Beetle and attack with a 4-power Song Shaper this turn. That is beautiful. Opponent is down to 14. They're going to take it all. They're on green-white, which is an enchantment-focused strategy. A lot of good value in that color pair. A lot of 2-for-1s like the Spirited Companion. They're just going to slam a Careful Cultivation onto the Spirited Companion to get a really big blocker here. Unfortunately, drawn all lands here. Guess we are going to do the same thing with the Synthesizer, but this time I'm going to sacrifice it to the Dockside Chef, hoping to get a 2-drop or less. That is a 2-drop. And another 2-drop Leech Gauntlet as the full-on draw. Obviously want to play the Song Shaper here, or else it will be permanently exiled. We kind of have to pass turn. A 2/4 Spirited Companion is too big to get through right now, unless we play 2 artifacts in one turn. Then our Song Shapers will be 4/2s. Commune with spirits from our opponent now. Green-white strategy is a pretty scary one. Again, as I said, they have a lot of 2-for-1s. They also have a lot of creatures that are going to be far larger than anything we can get. So having kind of a slower start like this, where we're still just trying to draw into some more action, is a little unfortunate. They could definitely stabilize pretty well here. Ogre Head Helm is pretty much the perfect draw, though, because that's going to let us turn one of our creatures into something that is too big for them to block well pretty much each turn. So that is perfect. We definitely equip that to Song Shaper and send in I'm going to go for the double block here. They can kill it off of a double block, but they're essentially just killing our 2/2 because our equipment will stick around. Just a chump block with the Goshintai. Very fine with that. There's a Jukai Naturalist from our opponent, giving them a lifelinker and the ability to cast their enchantments a turn early. They all cost 1 less to cast now. Opponent must have the 3 mana return a creature and enchantment from your grave to hand. That's probably what's going on. They're going to pick up Goshintai and Befriending the Moths in their end step here, because the companion can tap for double green. I think that's what's going on here. We may as well slap a Leech Gauntlet onto our 1 attacking creature as well now. Since we have the mana to do so. Guess there's an argument that it's better to just sacrifice the Virus Beetle and draw a card, because you don't really need life gain here. It's just like a bonus. Kill a Spirited Companion here because it's adding double green. Well, yeah, it's also the bigger blocker. I'll kill the companion. I was going to say, Jukai Naturalist is kind of getting the mana as well, since it's making all of their spells cheaper. Kind of working similarly there. So I believe the Ogre Head Helm, if we ever damage our opponent, we could sacrifice the equipped creature to draw fresh 3 cards, which could be worth it. Especially if we slap it on like a Virus Beetle here. Actually, yeah, maybe we slap it on Virus Beetle. Then just attack everybody in Gravelighter post-combat. Good Gravelighter pre-combat. Sacrifice Virus Beetle for their Naturalist. It's also pretty good. Yeah, that's probably best. Alright, they're just going to scoop them up. I don't know what exactly they had in hand there. Probably a lot of Tanukis and stuff, because they just now got their 5th mana. Discarded Tanuki for it. But yeah, it felt like they kind of just ran out of plays there. But yeah, Gravelighter was going to kill their 1 blocker, and we'd only lose our Virus Beetle there. And then we could also equip the Ogre Head Helm to the Song Shaper, attack with everybody, and we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 7 damage to them, and then sack the Song Shaper to draw 3. Or we could just leave it on board. But probably would be greedy here and try to draw the extra cards. Either way, that is going to be our first victory under the belt as we head into game 2. Here we are now in game 2 with another excellent opening hand. Again, 4 lands is a bit much for an opener for us, but Dockside Chef can make sure that we can draw some more stuff as they try to kill our creatures, unless they immediately kill our chef, which Ninja's Kunai can definitely do a good job of, unfortunately. I'm actually just going to go for Mukotai Ambusher here immediately. Start really putting in the damage here. Getting a nice life total difference until they kill this Ambusher. Or until they play a 2-2 or something, we'll trade into that. Playing against a red-white deck, that is the Samurai color pair. Samurai are, of course, very cool. Unfortunately, they didn't play out massively powerful in this format. If you get some of these Samurai rares, though, they're still playable. So there are a couple archetypes in this format that don't generally work out super well, like red-white Samurai and red-green modified. But the format isn't so imbalanced that they're unplayable. You can still play those archetypes if you open up like the good rares for them. Probably should have just played Song Shaper here. Lethal Exploit isn't likely to kill anything they have. I mean, if they... I was going to say, my thinking here is if they throw the Kunai onto the Renegade, then I could kill it with Exploit, but my problem is it only does -2/-2. I don't have a modified creature to make it -3/-3. Guess I could have killed the Rabbit Battery there, though. They made it all work out for me, and I was too distracted by talking about how it didn't work earlier. Yeah, that actually would have been really good. I almost looked like a genius there until I punted it all away. That's infuriating. Alright, yeah, now Lethal Exploit's really bad now, because they'll just Kunai in response anyway. So we attack with both here. They go ahead and Kunai our Dockside Chef. That is not bad at all. Now I'm not that unhappy that I didn't kill Kunai, because I was way more worried about Dockside Chef dying. That's super okay. I'll just sack the Ambusher and draw a card. Alright, I played that one horribly. We could have killed the Rabbit Battery in response to them putting Kunai on it, but it did work out for us. At least our Dockside Chef is still around now. And we play Song Shaper this turn. We have all this removal coming up in the future. They're down to 13, we're at 23. Selfless Samurai. They can sacrifice that at any time to give another creature indestructible, which is a pretty annoying mechanic. Like the Selfless Savior. We just have to kill Selfless Samurai before anything else. Plus, gives any attacking Samurai lifelink so they can really get back in the game in terms of their life total here. So what do we do now? We just Virus Beetle them, get Song Shaper up to 3 power status to send it in. I do want to kill that Selfless Samurai so they don't have any life gain anymore. So if they don't block here, I might Voltage Surge and sacrifice this Virus Beetle to kill that Samurai. May want to wait until their turn to do it, though, because they have played a lot of... well, they played a few equipment, so they might have more. They might try to slap like a Katana on it or something. You can get a little bit of extra value there. Not a lot of white cards that'll give Indestructible in this format. There's like a green one that gives Hexproof Indestructible. I don't remember well enough if there's something like really big that I'm not playing around by doing this. Pellavile, exile target enchantment. Well, this can sacrifice itself, which is incredible. Usually they can't do that nowadays. So we'll draw that card there. They're moving to combat, so we'll Voltage Surge the Selfless Samurai. Means we take 1 or 2 damage this turn instead of what we would have otherwise. And then hopefully we can draw a little gas here. We are up a couple cards from our Dockside Chef, but they're just some lands. Alright, Steelbreaker's perfect. Now I feel like we are actually up cards against our opponent here because we can drop Steelbreaker, still hold up Lethal Exploit because of thanks to all these lands we hit. Not even necessarily flooding because we need that to be able to play a 4-drop and hold up our 2-mana removal. Yep, which we're going to kill that when they go to combat so they can't tap down Steelbreaker and they just have no attacks against us. Actually, well, I'll kill it if they try to reconfigure onto it. I was going to say, it's not that big of a deal. I might just have let them go to combat. But yeah, if they reconfigure onto it, they do have a 4/3. That is a moderately big deal. Now we have the mana to play Leech Gauntlet. Buffing Songshaper, equip Leech Gauntlet. They could double block and kill Songshaper here. I think I just throw the Gauntlet onto Steelbreaker and send that in. Am I cool with a double block to kill Songshaper? Not really. I'm just going to send in Steelbreaker. Right, that feels really nice. Pretty firmly winning the game here unless our opponent draws real well. Scrap Welder's solid. But I think it's just a 3-mana 3/3 right now. Yeah, their only artifact costs 1, so they can't sack the Rabbit Battery to get a Ninja's Kunai. Because it has to be an artifact with mana value less than whatever they sacrificed. Which is pretty unfortunate. That is the kind of card I'd love to play, but does not pan out. So let's see, Steelbreaker could become a 5/5, which is only going to kill one of their creatures. Actually, with Oni Cult Anvil? No, Oni Cult Anvil makes this attack really safe. It'll be like a 2/2, but I have like infinite artifacts to sacrifice. Not actually infinite, but I can make Steelbreaker a pretty big deal. Can make it 7 power pretty easily. I only really have to sacrifice one thing to do that, because I sack one thing, the anvil makes a 1/1, and then I sack the 1/1 that the anvil makes. So I kill both of their creatures, and they're down to just a 1/1 Rabbit Battery. Alright, yeah, that's fine. I don't know if I'd rather sack Songshaper or Leech Gauntlet, because Songshaper can get more damage in, but Leech Gauntlet can, like, reconfigure. It can do some big stuff. I guess if it's possible, I'm supposed to just make sure Steelbreaker survives. I mean, so sack Songshaper, get the 1/1. I don't think it's really possible to make Steelbreaker survive here. Sack the 1/1. If I sack everything except my Steelbreaker, then it'll be on the board. I do not think that is worth it, though. Going down to just Steelbreaker on board versus them having just Rabbit Battery. I feel like Oni Cult Anvil's better. Not better, but having Oni Cult Anvil and Leech Gauntlet's better than having just Steelbreaker. Because we still win, like, board to board there. Like, we just keep chipping in for 2 against their 1/1. Like, they still need to draw something to get out of it. And this way we're not out of it if they just draw, like, 1 removal spell. You still have something going on? Oh, wow, what a draw. That's actually insane. Ironhoof Boar off the top feels good. Feels very good. Send in, put them down to 3 life, and pass the turn. And they are going to scoop them up. That is going to be 2-0 now for our Rakdos Artifacts deck. Did not play that one out very well in the early turns, but I think overall that went pretty well. Obviously winning goes pretty well, but I think outside of the early turns where they like equipped the kunai and I didn't blow up the card they equipped the kunai to, the rest of the game I think we played pretty solidly. Worked out pretty well for us. 2-0 now. Alright, here we are now, round 3. 2-0 thus far. Things are going quite well. I'm not going to play the Synthesizer turn 1. That is a very bad play. You can play Synthesizer turn 2 if you really want to, if you are just desperately trying to hit a land. But if you do it turn 1, there's nothing you can hit that'll work out for you. I like Virus Beetle Ambusher combo here, and I'm going to get greedy and go for it. Hopefully they don't have a 2-mana creature to play, and we just get to immediately ninjutsu this. They have a 2-mana creature to play. Luckily it's a good one, so I can just kill that here, which is what I'm going to do. And then we're still trying to get that Virus Beetle ninjutsu if we're lucky. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Kill this Selfless Samurai. Card puts in work. No creature, no creature, no creature. That's not a creature. Here we go. Value Town, and we got the Swamp to recast the Virus Beetle. This isn't really directly Value Town, but it's putting our opponent in the opposite of Value Town. The discard ditch. Sad place to be. Well, they had a bunch of extra lands, at least to discard. Just discarded Forest Plains. Now Gloomshrieker gets one back. Oh, gets the Samurai that we killed back. That is annoying. That is a pretty big way to make up for getting 2-for-1 by Virus Beetle. Just reverse 2-for-1 us. Plus the cards we hit off of Virus Beetle were not that important in the first place. That is very bad. I guess we send an Ambusher. 1-for-1 trade is fine. And we're not exactly going to block super well because of the Menace. I guess we double block and that's okay. We can play another creature here. Yeah, I'll send in the Ambusher. We'll see what we get off of Synthesizer. Alright. Trade Gloomshrieker for Ambusher. Very fine with that. Alright, Synthesizer. What are we synthesizing today? Dockside Chef. Interesting synthesization. That's definitely not a word. Play Song Shaper. Here we have 2 artifacts to play next turn if I hit a land, which means this will be attacking as a 4-2. Which could prompt a trade into the Samurai, or if they play like a 4-4 blocker here, like Jukai Preserver, we still get to attack it next turn if we hit a land. It's like Song Shaper over Leech Gauntlet. We're also at 26. I don't need to immediately get life gain here. Rather be dealing extra damage. Jukai Trainee. That blocks as a 3-3. That gets into combat with opposing creatures as a 3-3. And the Master's Rebuke to kill our Dockside Chef. Sad day for the Chef. Ironhoof Boar is pretty sick here. We get to drop Leech Gauntlet and maybe get a nice Ironhoof Boar play going here. I guess it only gives 1 additional toughness, so it still trades 1-for-1 into Trainee. But if they go for like... I guess I don't know why they would double block. But yeah, either way, Song Shaper just gets in for 3. Song Shaper definitely attacks here. Okay. Send in the Trainee. That has gotta be ninjutsu. If it's a combat trick, we get got here, but if it's ninjutsu, we just shut it off. Should we give it indestructible here? Okay. Could Ironhoof Boar on our Leech Gauntlet so they don't kill our Virus Beetle here, but honestly, that's fine. Get a 2-for-1 on our small creatures. Scrapyard, Steelbreaker. That is going to block Jukai Trainee all day. Stop their ninjutsu that they planned on last turn. Could be like a Kappa Tech Wrecker, which would be disgusting. So I'm going to block Jukai Trainee every time I'll run into whatever combat tricks they have. It's one of the cool things about how ninjutsu plays in the format is it does make all your combat tricks better because your opponent always has to be worried about a good ninjutsu card. So now they're just trying to block. Chainflail Centipede can get through. Steelbreaker also can get through. We just sacrifice Song Shaper here. Attack with Steelbreaker. Actually, we sack the Synthesizer. What am I talking about? There's a way better option. Oh yeah, it's a 4/6, not a... not a 3/5. Forgot about the Bushido again. Ooh, Patchwork Automaton. Oh, you cost 2 mana, so I can't channel the Ironhoof Boar and still cast that, so I am going to sack the Song Shaper here. Kill the Jukai Trainee and then play Patchwork Automaton. I think that actually went pretty well for us, all in all things considered, even though we dropped the Song Shaper. Got rid of 2 of their cards, and while we were sacrificing, we kind of drew a card when we sacrificed the Synthesizer. So we traded 1 card into 2 of theirs, basically. Because sure, we sacked 2 things, but one of the things we sacked drew us another card. Restoration of a Ganjo is a very, very, very good rare. However, it could be too late for them here, because the card is a little slow, like all of the sagas. Next turn, they get a permanent with mana value 2 or less from the graveyard back to the battlefield tapped, so it won't be able to block. And then the turn after that, they get the really good 3/4 Vigilance that spits out a 1/1 each turn. So yeah, we're just hoping we can outrace them here, which I think we can do. I think I'm going to play Centipede and hold up Voltage Surge so we can get a counter on Automaton. Get as much damage as possible here. Ninjutsuing the Automaton back to hand would be okay as the play for turn, but I think it's going to be more damage overall to get Centipede out. That's a 4-power creature, plus we get a counter on the Automaton. Ambusher would give us immediate 3 damage, but then we'd have to spend the rest of our 2 mana just replaying Automaton there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, that's just lethal. That is just already lethal. And they scoop them up. That is 3-0 now for our Rakdos Artifacts deck. Very nice to just come back into the format, draft my favorite strategy, and get at least a 3-win run out of it. Alright, here we are. Game 4 now. We have Gravelighter Mukotai Ambusher combo. That could be pretty cool. Don't love not having any 1 or 2 mana creatures to get these ambushers out real quick. But I do like the cards that are in the hand, even if they are a little bit slow for our deck. Oh, there we go. Goro Goro, come on down. Let's get going, friend. Life of Toshiro Umezawa. That card is busted. Busted, busted, busted. It will often be able to kill 2 cards and then make a 2/3 with that -1/-1. Luckily, our deck has nothing but like 2 toughness creatures, so it's not going to kill any of our cards, but it's still going to gain them 4 life and get them a 2/3 for only 2 mana. Pretty nuts card. I think we're just casting our Bronze Plate Boar here. Definitely not ambushing. Put as much power on the board as quickly as possible. While they don't have a creature. Pass through the turn. Attack all. Plop down an ambusher. Could even just hard cast an Ambusher here. I'm only getting 1 extra damage. Just attack all and see what happens. Absolutely nothing. Sure. I'd actually rather play the Song Shaper than replay my Goro Goro, because I'm not going to have a modified creature for a little while, but I could just play an artifact next turn and give the Song Shaper +1/+0. It's also a really nice synergy with Mukotai Ambusher, where if I ninjutsu it out, it gets that extra power out of nowhere, just like unexpectedly. So they might block it with their 2/3, and then I make it a 3/2 out of nowhere. Stuff like that. Tawashi Guidebot, that is a very good card, but it is a bit slow. I think I Gravelighter here. I guess I could lethal exploit the Guidebots and play Goro Goro, but then I'm not attacking at all. It's possible if I play Gravelighter, get to attack. But if I play Gravelighter, they probably sacrifice the Guidebot still. Yeah, we'll... This card seems too slow for them to attempt to use anytime soon, so they're going to be like, yeah, I'll just sack that. It's just a 2/1. So we might as well kill that and play Goro Goro, and maybe they don't get to play another creature next turn. Yeah, the 3/4 Memory of Toshiro here really holding down the fort. At least till I hit 1 more mana, then I can reconfigure the Bronze Plate Boar. Make my Song Shaper a 5/4 and get in with Trample, or make my Ambusher a 6/4. Yeah, when I hit the reconfigure mana for Bronze Plate Boar, we can crack through the Memory of Toshiro if they don't play a bigger creature. This is a Jukai Preserver here. Harmonious Emergence, 4/5 blocker and attacker. Double block to trade. 2 for 1. Don't think that's worth it. Although, then I could do that and play Gravelighter next turn, and I would know that killing all their creatures. But, again, as I said about the Bronze Plate Boar, I think because we have this Bronze Plate Boar coming in here, I think we're good. Just slam it onto Ambusher here. Okay, slam it onto Song Shaper. Yeah, trade our weaker creature off first. Alright. Like, Ambusher races better if we're worried about racing, but I think we're in the lead here. And if we equip to Ambusher, then they're just going to double block and kill it, and we only kill the forest. Or they don't even have to double block, they just block with the forest. So I'd rather try to make this Song Shaper a big enough threat that either it gets enough damage in to kill them, or it's going to force a trade here. This is a weird attack. I'm going to take it. Could be a lot of ninjutsu here. No ninjutsu. I was going to say, if they ninjutsu Memory of Toshiro back, that's not that big of a deal, because they don't have anything, we don't have anything on board they can -1/-1 to kill, and then that would get rid of their 3/4 at least. So unless it's like the Kappa Tech record that can exile our cards, we're not that worried about ninjutsu. And they definitely don't want to return the forest back. That would be a very bad ninjutsu. So, I mean, if the status quo doesn't change here, we're attacking with a Song Shaper and making a 5/5 flyer off Goro Goro. Wow, that's a good card. Sick 2 for 1 there. Spinning Wheel Kick to kill our Goro Goro and our Mukotai Ambusher. They crack back for 7 here. If we play Gravelighter, they only crack back for 4. They did have to tap their forest to afford that spinning wheel kick, so we know we get in this turn. I think I am playing Gravelighter. And just trading... Well... They don't have any flying blockers. I'll actually trade the Song Shaper into one of their creatures. I will have to spend the mana to re-equip Boar, though. But I don't really need to re-equip on Gravelighter, because it's just gonna get in this guy. So I get to attack in with it, Ambusher to put Gravelighter back in hand and recast it next turn. It feels like a pretty good plan for next turn if it doesn't get ruined by whatever they play here. Historian's Wisdom, that's a big deal. Taking 6 here means we're dead in 2 turns on board. If they tap out to blow up our boar here, it would be beautiful. They are looking at the boar. Yeah, that'd be perfect, because then we do the recast of Gravelighter to get rid of their only creature left. Kiba Reckoner Raid, alright. So they still have mana up, but I think this Ambusher play should work. And then Gravelighter, blow up that forest. What do we sacrifice, though? I feel like I'm supposed to keep a flyer down, but I don't like being at 8. It's scary. I like lifelinkers. Yeah, I'll sack the lifelinker if they don't get a flying blocker or removal spell. Slap Boar onto Gravelighter, and we are hitting for 5 a turn in the sky. I guess because of the Reckoner Raid's life gain, though, they are at 6. So that isn't going to be a one-hit kill or anything. But I don't know. I think we do have 3 Mukotai Ambusher in this deck. Yeah, we have a 3rd Ambusher, so this also lets us, if we draw another Ambusher, we get to do that again. Slap a Centipede onto this Gravelighter here. Sure. We still have a Chump blocker. And they are dead in 2 attacks still. Feels pretty good. Do they have the removal to kill the Gravelighter? I think it comes down to that. I think if they can kill our Gravelighter, they actually kind of flip things into the lead. We don't immediately die, but they have more cards than us. We know they're not lands. So I don't think we're winning this game if they can blow up this Gravelighter. Yeah, I feel like the only way I lose is if a Combat Trick somehow deals 7 to us there, or if they blow up Gravelighter. So I'm going to go for that Chump block. Searchlight Companion. Unfortunate. Alright, well, that was a really good play from our opponent. Because... it got me to be worried about the +3/+3 combat trick that exists in this format. You just channel it. Which made me block with my creature that could have given my flyer trample there, so it gave them another turn to potentially draw into an out or draw into a win condition here. We'll see if they can find lethal on us. If they can, they earned it. They can give Trample with Bearer of Memory for 6 mana, so they can give the Preserver Trample, make it 5 power. I think they got there. They just give one of these Trample. We take 3, we're down to 4. They give that Trample and I take 3 more damage. I'm at 1. They give that trample. I take 3 more damage. I'm down to 1. They needed a second trick to win here, I think. Unless I did the math wrong. Oof, lifelink here. Wow. Double. Oh my god. Yeah, we got here. Very well played by our opponent. Well done. 3-1. Unfortunate. I stand by my decision there though, because there's a legitimate there is a card in this format that we would have lost to if I didn't make that block. That is a common card that is relatively highly played. 2 mana to discard it. Target creature gets +3/+3 in reach till end of turn. So that was just very tightly played by our opponent. Very smartly done. Very well done. And they had the perfect cards in hand to follow through there. Bad beats. Heading into game 5. Alright, here we are, game 5. Snap Keep. Turn to Song Shaper here. Into the Boar, into the Ambusher. Turn 1 Okiba Reckoner Raid. The classics. The very, 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 very heavily played saga. Blue-black, gonna be a ninjutsu deck here. Ooh, Virus Beetle is the draw. I could lead up into a Virus Beetle Ambusher kind of line, but I would rather just keep beating down. There's the Nozumi Road Captain flipped. So that is going to be a very good card for them to be able to ninjutsu with. I'd honestly trade my Boar into that just to keep them off ninjutsu. They held 3 mana up here, which means they definitely have suit up, because otherwise they would equip Kunai. So they're going to make it a 4/5 till end of turn and draw a card. Pretty much guaranteed. If I go into combat. So I can instead just expand my board a bit here. Suit up is going to ruin my day no matter what, now that I think of it. Because what else is going to happen? They're going to attack in. It's got Menace, so I'd have to double block, and then they'll suit up then. To make it a 4/5. That's going to kill 2 of my creatures guaranteed. Oh, I guess we'd block with Boar Song Shaper. They send in. Yeah. That'll cost all of their mana. That actually, we can make that so it's not as bad as it seems. Like, we're gonna get 3 for 1, really, because Suit Up draws them a card and we'll lose 2 of our creatures to their 1 Nozumi Road Captain. But they're gonna have to spend all of their mana doing that, which means on my next turn I'm guaranteed to be able to get the Virus Beetle Mukotai Ambusher swing in. I'm gonna throw the Kunai onto the captain and just pass. Still just hold up the Suit Up. Okay. Well, then that plan does not work. Well, let's get it out of here. Send all. Suit up my Bronze Plate Boar. Much as I want to Ambusher back this Virus Beetle, if I attack all 3, they don't have to cast Suit Up, they can just block Virus Beetle. I want to force them to get this Suit Up out of the way. I want to be able to ninjutsu when I do Virus Beetle things. We're not going to have the mana to re-equip Bronze Plate Boar willy-nilly anyway, so I guess I should send that in. Block Song Shapers, shoot the Boar, I guess. I guess I'm playing around a card that doesn't exist, and now I get to really get some good value off this ninjutsu. Alright. I highly doubt they do that if they had suit up. So I guess I was just playing around something that wasn't there. Awkward. But it all worked out in the end. Got a pretty sick ninjutsu value play there. Being able to counter their removal spell. Okay, Searchlight Companion, a couple 1/1s. We don't have the blue mana up at all now. I'm gonna synthesize, see what we're hitting. I think there's like one card in our deck that's too expensive, the Bronze Plate Boar. Gravelighter, it's not very good on this board state. We want to play that post-combat, so we draw the card off of it. Yep, attack all, let them double block the Ambusher here. Not worried about losing the lifelink, that's fine. They're just gonna single block Virus Beetle. Fair enough. Nope. They will double block Ambusher. Alright, you got it. They're down to 9. We'll draw a card off Gravelighter. Another Experimental Synthesizer. Good one. Very good one. There's a Tranquil Cove from our opponent. And pass the turn. I'm going to synthesize again. Anything but our Ironhoof Boar is castable here. Swamp it is. Come on out. I have the mana to play the Centipede and equip it to a creature. So I will do that. Attack with everybody. Spread our threats out here, so if it's just a bunch of instant speed removal, we're still doing a good amount of damage. Yep. Lock down our biggest threat is their choice, but we still hit for 5. And they're down to 5 life. We have lethal on board. Behold the Unspeakable. Give all of our creatures -2/-0. That is no longer lethal. Can hit for 1 by attacking with this Virus Beetle, or I can move the Centipede over and hit for 2 with Gravelighter. Actually, we can find lethal here because I get to move the Centipede to the Gravelighter, so that hits for 2, and then I get to pick up the Virus Beetle and change it into an Ambusher, so that hits for 3. And that is 5 total. Very good draw. Exact lethal, it is 4-1 now. As we head into round 5. Alright, here we are in round 5. Another solid hand here, starting with the Tawashi Song Shaper on 2. Chainflow Centipede on 3, get pretty aggressive. Turn 1 Ninja's Kunai from our opponent, we'll just drop a Dockside Chef, and that is going to be a quick target of the Kunai, I expect, but I'm not just going to hold off on it and never cast it here. To curve out as well as I can, another blue-black deck, could definitely be Ninjas. They do not have a turn 2 play. So we'll send in the Chef for 1. Drop the Song Shaper. Three mana, Gravelighter is the play. Well, that looks like a goodbye to Song Shaper. Dropping a Chainflail Centipede, they're tapped out, so it doesn't really matter when I do it. Hit them down to 18 and pass the turn. Chainflail Centipede can hit them pretty hard, so even if they do spend the time equipping a Kunai to something and tapping down that creature to shoot my Chef, like I'm just going to be hitting for a lot of damage after that. Armguard Familiar is pretty annoying. Ward 2. I don't even have removal for it anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter, but still. I think I'm going to drop an Oni Cult Anvil pre-combat here, so if I lose Centipede, I still get a 1/1. I guess I could discard the Ironhoof board to beat the Armguard Familiar, though. Yeah, we're probably doing that. we trample over for a bunch of damage as well. And then if they don't block here, now I still get to play like Scrapyard Steelbreaker. Cool. Yeah, that worked pretty well. Now we still have the Iron Hoof Boar for a rainy day. So again, this Armguard Familiar can do a lot like the Kunai did last game, where it can block something and shoot another card, which is generally pretty good. If we draw into any ninjutsu cards, though, that is always a really good response to your opponent doing that, is to just ninjutsu back whatever they try to kill with their kunai. Green, blue, and black from our opponent, both Seiju, who endures, and Twisted Embrace. Very nice removal spell there. Gonna shoot down our Scrapyard Steelbreaker. And they're just gonna kunai right now. They do not want to deal with us drawing any cards off of Dockside Chef or having any potential ninjutsu shenanigans to stop the kunai, so they're just going to do it immediately. And Oni Cult Anvil doesn't really do anything on this board, so I'm going to just hold up the 2 mana to sacrifice things to Dockside Chef. If they do play another removal spell here, at least we draw a card in the process, which gets us closer to hitting our 6th land to drop down kind of our game ender here, this big 5/4 trample haste that we're hoping for. Dokuchi Shadowwalker, big old 5/5. So much for a 5/5. So much for a 5/4 trample haste. Synthesizer is the draw, and it's a beautiful one. Let's see what we get off of the synthesizer. Another synthesizer. All right, that's starting to get a little sketch. I mean, we obviously have to play it because it just dies if we don't. But if we hit a red card, we're gonna be really sad. Mukotai Ambusher. Unfortunately, I can't afford you either. Yeah, that's rough. Those are some bad eggs. Some rotten eggs in the building over here. I mean, I could sack another synthesizer to spin the wheel again, but no, I just needed lands. Egg and Ambusher, sad day. I am happy to take the 5. Armguard Familiar attack's a little weird. Cool with that too. Now is where we wish we would have had Anvil out. Because then we at least drain our opponent for 1 life when we go for the trade on Familiar. But I mean, it only makes 1/1s during our turn, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just 1 extra damage to our opponent had we had Oni Cult Anvil on board right now. Okay, trade into the Armguard Familiar, and a Moonfolk Puzzle Maker is the next play. Pass to our turn. When does this do it? Until end of turn, you may play that card. What happens if I do this in an end step? If I do this in an end step, I can't play it, right? I'm just going to do this for science. I'm going to do this during their end step, and I'm assuming this is forever exiled, but it might be till the next end step. Okay, yeah, it's just exiled. That's fine. We have the mana for the Iron Hoof Boar now. We can also just go Automaton Anvil here, which is also pretty nice. Guess I shouldn't have played a land yet because I do want to sacrifice Synthesizer to the Anvil. I'm just going to let the card stay exiled. I can drain them for 1 life, and then if I hit a 2 or less mana card, I get to cast it, or I can just draw a card, and then I can't cast whatever I hit off of Synthesizer, but I still get the 1/1, get the counter on Automaton. All that good stuff. I guess if I use Anvil, I can chump with the 1/1 and draw a card if I don't hit a castable spell here, so I'll use Anvil on the Synthesizer. Oh wow, we hit a Virus Beetle when they have 1 card in hand? Okay, Arena, thank you. We get rid of a Ninja. That was a phenomenal turn of events for us. And now we just start doing the Anvil combos all day. guess automaton isn't getting bigger when we're playing more. When we're getting more artifact tokens, it's only when we're casting artifact spells, so... Not the wildest anvil combo thing going on here, but... Still think anvil can very much close this game out. Especially alongside this Ironhoof boar now, where we attack in, trade into that Shadow Walker, and the board is clear for everything else we have going on. And when we trade into Shadow Walker, we get a 1/1 token in the process. Yeah, slam dunk Ironhoof boar, I think. Trade into Shadow Walker and get a 1/1. And then next turn, we're just going very wide. Not quite lethal next turn, but definitely a board state that's going to take this game over. Alright, Gloom Shrieker from our opponent's a pretty good one. Get their Twisted Embrace back to their hand, any permanent. So if their other card in hand is Swamp, maybe they pick up Twisted Embrace, go Swamp Embrace. Although Embrace isn't that good here, because Automaton has Ward 2, which is really nice. The Ward definitely helps against that. They're going to pick up the Moon Circuit Hacker so they can play another blocker this turn. It's a very fair choice. Oh yeah, I don't have any flyers, so they get to draw a card off of this as well. Although then it would be tapped and they only have one blocker on board. So all in all, that's still pretty fine for us. Yep, they are going to legitimately ninjutsu it here. I suppose if they draw land, they do get to replay the Puzzle Maker. And have a blocker out. Yep, do have the land. Really nice turn for our opponent. Time for a really nice turn for us. We'll play a Bronze Plate board to make our Automaton a 5/5, and we'll hold up Mukotai, Ambushers, Ninjutsu. And only one of our creatures dies here. They kill one of our 1/1s, the other two get in, or let me play an Ambusher. And when one of them dies, I get a replacement 1/1 construct. So this is pretty fine. Opponent is down to 7, and I will pass the turn. And now we have a Bronze Plate boar we get to move around to give things trample if we need to. There's a Virus Beetle from our opponent, just a 1/1 blocker here. So we have been dumping our hand out. And a Ninja's Kunai that can blow up the boar so we can't get any trample. That is the best thing they can do here. Alright, they're going to pass turn. Oof, Goro. If I had one more land, I would just slam that down here, because I could play it and get a 5/5 this turn, but I think I would rather just force my opponent to use the Kunai right now, so they can't use it in combat. So now they can't block with Puzzle Maker this turn, which means all of my creatures get in and they at least kill something here. And of course with Oni Cult Anvil, I guess I could have sacked that for a life loss to my opponent. I probably missed a lot of those extra 1 damage to opponent things. Played a little sloppy with the anvil. It's been a long time. Card is pretty complex. But yeah, since they had to tap down Puzzle Maker, they have no good blocks anymore. Papercraft Decoy. Alright. Pretty sure we have lethal on board now because of Anvil. Definitely with another artifact. Because we attack everybody, they go block there, they take 1, 2, 3. I guess they take 4, it's not quite there. So we'll equip Dockside Chef, I suppose. Force them to block those two and we don't lose any creatures. Yeah, we definitely would have had lethal by now if I had Oni Cult Anviled in response to every time they used removal. But there were a lot of times where it wasn't worth it because we'd lost a creature like trading into an opposing creature, and then if we anviled, it would just be sacrificing a 1/1 to drain them for one. We wouldn't get a replacement 1/1 or anything. Alright, they scry one, see the top card. It's not going to get them out of this because they can't draw it right now anyway. And that is going to be game. We are now 5-1 in the money, getting some good value off of our first Premier draft of the return of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Really nice stuff today. Round 7 now. Beautiful, beautiful hand. Virus Beetle and Ogre Head Helm. A synthesizer for later. Not going to turn to a synthesizer with these 2 drops, so I'll just play the Swamp first. Fang of Shigeki from our opponents. Don't love running the Ogre Helm into that, but I'm fine trading a Virus Beetle into that card, and if our opponent doesn't want to trade a Virus Beetle, and they don't have a 2-drop, then we just get to Ambusher them next turn now. Really nice draw off the top there, getting that Mukotai Ambusher. I think if they attack with Fang of Shigeki, there's no way they attack with Fang of Shigeki here without having a turn 2 creature to play. So if they attack, I'll just accept the trade. Alright, they didn't attack. We'll see if we get to trade our Virus Beetle into something here. If not, that's also fine, but the trade is super cool by me. Pretty good value off of the Beetle. Gonna be a while before I want to reconfigure this head helm, so I think I'd rather play Song Shaper first. Pass the turn. Not going to Synthesizer when I don't have mana to play anything I get off of it right now. Okay, 4 mana. Play our Steelbreaker. Play our head helm and still hold up the Ambusher effects. Fortunately, this Papercraft Decoy is annoying. I think I just play Steelbreaker because I don't want to run my Song Shaper into the Decoy and let them draw a card in that trade. They can draw a card off a chump block, I'd be fine with that, but drawing a card during a trade is pretty brutal. Now there's a Spirited Companion, and they only have 1 mana up, so that is not enough for Papercraft Decoy, so now is a solid turn for Song Shaper to get in. Play the Ogre Head Helm here, holding up Ambusher. And Steelbreaker's abilities. Okay, they are going to trade Decoy into Song Shaper, that's fine. Because they don't have the mana to draw the card. And now, get Synthesizer into nothing or just pass turn. I'll just pass turn. Green, red, white, and blue. Potentially a 5-color deck from our opponent. There is a 5-color Mythic Rare. There's also a Shrine strategy that could go up to 5 colors. Okay, Jukai Preserver going to put a counter on Spirited Companion, so they have another blocker big enough to block the Ogre Helm. Triple Synthesizer. Well, the world is telling us something today, so we'll follow its advice here. What do we get? Swamp. Good first hit off of the Synthesizer. Now I have the mana to play Ambusher post-combat if I need to. I get to attack with Steelbreaker, and if they double block, I just sack the egg. And if they don't block at all, we just play an Ambusher post-combat. And we've got all these eggs to play around with for the rest of this game. That should give us consistent value to keep up with whatever our opponent's doing. Send in the Companion, send in the Preserver. I'm more worried about Ninjutsu than I am about getting like a bunch of value here. I mean, if Steelbreaker stays on board, got plenty of value. I'll take these trades. Ninjutsuing either of these cards would be a pretty bad deal for us, because we're going to get hit by whatever ninjutsu trigger they have, and they're going to get a good ETB effect. Oh yeah. Super happy with the block Kappa Tech Wrecker would have, as is stated in the title. Wrecked us. Exiled our Steelbreaker, or whatever they wanted. So now we just keep going for Synthesizer value. Ooh, Dockside Chef. Just an embarrassment of riches over here. We're going to Master's Rebuke to deal damage to our Steelbreaker here before we resolve that. Alright, that's really annoying. But you got it. Yeah, because now we don't have a good blocker for Cap Attack Wrecker, and if it hits us, they just exile the chef. If that's the case, I guess we are gonna sack an egg here, so we get 2 card draws to maybe get something good. We get a Goro Goro, we get a land. Alright, Goro Goro it is. We can double block a Cap Attack Wrecker, and they only kill one of our things with Death Touch. We can get it off the board. We lose Goro Goro here, but we are miles away from having a modified creature on board anyway, so we just lose a 2-mana 2/2. Alright, or we lose both to a trick. It's a nice 2-for-1 from our opponent, but we're still good with all these synthesizers. Oh my god. If you're ever in a draft pod and you see a Cap Attack Wrecker, please take it. Don't let anybody ever end up with double Cap Attack Wrecker. It's the mythic rare uncommon in the format. Absolutely absurd card. Alright, we're gonna get a bunch of Samurai. Okay, I'm gonna play this synthesizer. Okay, good, I didn't hit a red card. Goodbye, Swamp. Oh, this matchup's horrible. The double Attack Wrecker beatdown, they're gonna make one a 2/4 Death Touch, so if I double block it, it kills both my creatures. If I don't block it, exiles my Song Shaper anyway. But then its counter is gone and we don't have to worry about it again in the future. Exile the Synthesizer. Alright, fair enough. Song Shaper is the draw. I don't think I have anything I need to discard like lands to in this deck. No, I don't. So definitely play the land. And pass turn, we're just going to slowly die to the Tales of Master Sashiro here. Freaking Cap Attack Wreckers. Double Attack Wrecker. Ruining my day. Yep, get rid of a Song Shaper. No, we're going to have to draw exceptionally well to get back in this game. We're 4 cards down. We have 9 lands to 5. Got a lot of 2-for-1s with Tech Wreckers. Dying really quickly to Living Legacy. I should have double blocked a Tech Wrecker there. But who knows, they probably have another Wanderer's Intervention anyway. Alright, 6th mana from our opponent, and Greater Tanuki. Yeah. That was an unwinnable game if I've ever seen one. 5-2. So we head into round 8. Here we are now in round 8. This almost looks like a standard deck. Virus Beetle, Oni Cult, Anvil. Voltage Surge. Really nice opener here. Opponent starts with turn 1 Iron Apprentice. I'm moderately interested in voltage surging that before they can get a counter onto another creature. So depending on what their second creature is, I might just shoot it. I'll take the 1 damage and wait and see. They're gonna hold up a Lethal Exploit or something? Song Shaper. So if I kill this afterwards, Song Shaper becomes a 3/3. I could just kill the Song Shaper too, though. Yeah, probably better to just kill Song Shaper. Now it's time to bring out our own sick beats. The mirror match here. Yeah, 4 cards in hand, double red and a black. On board. 2 mountains and a swamp. Upriser Renegade. That's pretty good with an Iron Apprentice. And Rabbit Battery's pretty good, period. Reconfigure to give haste. This gets +2/+0 for each modified creature they have, which includes the Iron Apprentice because of its +1/+1 counter. Well, a little worried about the mana situation. Guess we're just going to Virus Beetle and pass here. Get rid of one of their 2 cards in hand. Seems like a pretty good deal. Mountain. Alright, pass turn. We're going to have to take the Renegade damage each turn, but can stop the 1/1s from hitting us. Just start doing our Oni Cult Anvil plays if they don't have any removal. Just play Oni Cult Anvil and start cycling through the beetle to consistently drain them for 1 life each turn. And replace the creature we're sacking every turn. Oof, Gravelighter. Actually, pretty excited about that. I mean, they sack Iron Apprentice, it's just not great for us. So I actually think I'm going to Oni Cult Anvil here. And if we can get them to sack this Iron Apprentice here, or get them to trade it into Virus Beetle, then we can play Gravelighter later. I don't really want to play Gravelighter just to draw a card. I want to try to get this Gravelighter to kill Renegade if I can. I mean, if their board gets wide and they have 3 or 4 creatures down, we can just accept defeat and then just draw the card off this anyway. Okay, yeah, if they're going to play Papercraft Decoy and have the 2 mana up, then yeah, we're just going to draw the card off the Gravelighter in that case. Although, we could trade into this Iron Apprentice now. The counter on the Decoy, we trade into the Decoy, but they draw a card when we do that. Then we get their board down to just... That's probably not worth it. We get their board down to just Renegade, but we would have to trade Songshaper. We get a 1/1, they get a card. We play Gravelighter. Yeah, their board would just be Rabbit Battery. Actually, sure. It does seem a little weird, but I deal with pretty much everything on board doing this. Unless they play another creature, then my day is ruined. And my disappointment is immeasurable. Okay, that works too. That is disappointing. Oh wait, no it doesn't. But yeah, it does, because now when that dies, the battery is unequipped. But if it dies here, then they're not drawing a card now because they don't have the 2 mana up. No, this is actually fine. What am I talking about? That's super fine. I was like, okay. Hit there, and then Gravelighter, sack or Songshaper to get rid of the Decoy or the Renegade. That's fine. We don't deal with everything on their board anymore, but I think it still ends up in our favor to just do this here. They sacked the Renegade, keep the Decoy around. Surge Hacker Mech, that is a good draw. Deals 2 damage to any target, kills their flyer, and they are in the lead again. This is unfortunately not an artifact, so we can't sack it to Anvil. Bronzeplate Boar is also a pretty good draw. This is crew 4, right? Yeah, so they just block with a 5/5 if I attack there, so we do not attack this turn. Although I could give +2. Can't give +3. Cannot get enough here. I can get 4 power. Need 5 power to get the attack in. Alright. Playing the mana and passing the turn. Hit me for 6 here. They have some kind of really good ninjutsu card, but I can't really just decide to 2 for 0 myself. Just block with my 2/2 and 1/1 and get absolutely nothing for it. Just gain 6 life. I have Clawing Torment to put on the boar. Alright. That is annoying. And I can't block, but I can still reconfigure it. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I've already hit the upkeep, so I can't anvil sack it right now to stop losing a life. I'm going to lose that life no matter what. Chain Flail Centipede is interesting. So they can hit me for 6 with Menace next turn. I can make sure I have another 1/1 blocker by sacrificing this Bronze Plate boar. I could play Centipede. I could have a lot of blockers if I play Centipede and equip Centipede to the boar. And then it's also a big trampler coming in. And attack with those. Hitting for 7 here, and then sacrificing the boar, gaining a life, and getting another 1/1 and the Centipede up as a blocker. Possible I'm supposed to attack with Construct 2 there, but then I'll only have 2 blockers up, so if they have removal, then I will die to removal that way. This way, I don't die to a single removal spell, because I'll still have 2 blockers to be able to block the Menace. I guess I'm at 7, not 6, so technically it would have to be a removal spell and I take a damage. So if they have a second copy of Clawing Torment, then I survive that now, whereas I would have died otherwise. But yeah, I didn't account for the fact that I am gaining a life there, going up to 7. Because they have to be able to crew the Surge Hacker mech, which means they have to put the battery onto the decoy, crew the mech, put the battery onto the mech, then they're attacking for 6. They don't really have a way to attack for 7. So they would need a removal spell plus an additional damage, which is possible as we've seen from Clawing Torment. So I guess I probably should have attacked with the 1/1 token there. There's not a lot they could have here that would be able to kill me through 2 blockers, but I think there's pretty much exactly nothing that can kill me through 3 blockers. Okay, so there are cards that can just kill me if I don't block here. Ironhoof Boar getting channeled. So I think I double block with the 1/1s here. Then I survive a channeled Ironhoof Boar. Gives +3/+1 trample. That'd be 8 power, -2. We take 6, go to 1. If they channel if their 2 cards in hand are exactly Ironhoof Boar and Okiba Reckoner Raid, then I guess I lose. But I am okay with that. So that is a low chance. Alright, no Ironhoof Boar getting channeled, so they just unequip the Rabbit Battery ready to block with it. So that they don't die this turn, except they do die this turn, because I just hit them with 1 thing for 2 and then sacrifice something. They need another blocker. Or they're dead. Right, they block Centipede. Take 2 from Songshaper, then take an extra damage when I sacrifice to Anvil. Ninja's Kunai. That would have killed me as well. Forgot about that. That can deal damage to a player. That could have dealt 3 damage to my face. Okay, so their plan here is going to be to block one and shoot the other one with Oni Cult Anvil to survive. They don't lethal me next turn, so I just go for the attack here and let them do that. Yeah, and then sacrifice whatever they're going to blow up to hit them for an extra damage anyway. I guess I could have reconfigured and attached Chainflail Centipede to Songshaper. But then they'd still have the kunai around. I think it's probably better to get them to use the kunai here. Doesn't say if I did that, then they just block. Or they have to kunai before attacks, but they know if they kunai before attacks that they just die. So... So yeah, if I reconfigured onto Songshaper, if I really wanted to make sure that the Chainflail Centipede was still on board, I guess I could have reconfigured, but then the problem with that is they still just have the kunai for later to kill it if they wanted to. Alright, We do get there. They do not draw into and out to Oni Colt Anvil, slowly killing them with that last 2 damage there. So we are 6-2. We're heading into a final boss game here. Win or lose, it'll be the final game of Magic for the day. No matter what, we're getting 1,800 gems and 5 packs out of this event. Just a really good time returning to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, playing my favorite archetype. But see if we can't get a 7-win run as we head into the final boss. Final round. Alright, here we are on the play in the final round. We've got our Song Shaper on 2. We've got the Anvil. We can win those long games. Got a Lethal Exploit for removal, which is nice because our deck is not very heavy on removal, so always good to see some. Very into this hand. Opponent starts with a Swamp into Iron Apprentice. Drop down our Song Shaper and pass the turn. Got a full grip of 7 cards in hand here. They did not mulligan or anything. They play an Uncharted Haven on white. I forgot this card existed. Yeah, Shimmer Veil in this format? I legit just completely forgot that card existed. That's cool. It's pretty nice. Gonna curve out our Song Shapers and just keep slapping. Song Shaper turn 2, Song Shaper turn 3. DJ's got the beats. So they are on blue, white, and black. They're on Esper over there. That is a... That's a coin flip if I've ever seen one. Either it's suit up to beat our Song Shaper, or it's ninjutsu and they're pretending it's suit up. Probably just suit up. But if I get rid of a suit up for them to kill a Song Shaper and draw a card, that's not the worst thing ever. Because we also get rid of Iron Apprentices. Oh wait, no we don't. Iron Apprentice wouldn't die. It's probably both. That's why suit up is so powerful. Is because in blue, especially in blue-black, you get to have suit up and a ninja in your hand, so no matter what your opponent does, they're in a bad spot. Either you suit up, draw a card, win the combat, or you just ninjutsu if they didn't block. So, I mean, we're in a rock and a hard place. We're going to get punished either way, so let's just block. Get the suit up out of here. Make them spend all of their mana this turn, not putting anything else on the board. Now we've got a Voltage Surge, which would have been beautiful to respond to that. Just hold up Voltage Surge and Lethal Exploit here. Blow up whatever they try to ninjutsu into. Yeah, most of the ninjutsu cards are pretty low toughness. Wish we drew one land there so we could play an Anvil and hold up Voltage Surge. That would have been really good. Or, you know, play the Ambusher and hold up Voltage Surge if we drew a swamp instead of a mountain. Alright, let's see what ninjutsu they had. See what would have happened to us if we didn't block. A Mukotai Ambusher. It's not terrible. I'd rather Lethal Exploit this than Voltage Surge it. If they have a second ninjutsu in hand, they get to just do it again. Guess that is a problem. Alright, whatever, let's find out. Alright, no second ninjutsu. Thank goodness. But we do kill the Ambusher. And this is why I went for Lethal Exploit instead of Voltage Surge, because now if I draw into the mountain, I can play Anvil and still hold up Voltage Surge. Which I'm a big fan of. Alright, we're winning the race on board. No real reason to not attack here. Unless I'm monumentally worried about another ninjutsu, which since they didn't have a 2-mana ninjutsu, I highly doubt there is another ninjutsu. Might have even been better to just play the Chain Flail Centipede. I don't know if Anvil's doing too much here. And again, since we're in the lead and we know they don't have another ninjutsu, probably not that necessary to play it safe and hold up Voltage Surge. Yeah, I could absolutely go for just Chainflow Centipede or Gravelighter being a better line. I think that's entirely possible. Moon Circuit Hacker. Alright, they didn't have a ninjutsu last time. No ninjutsu this time? Right, well, our line worked pretty well. Stop them from drawing a card off that ninjutsu card. Ooh, sack a creature unless I discard a card. The Long Reach of Night is absolutely disgusting here. I mean, I discard a card for sure. Discard our 4-drop Mukotai Ambusher. Yeah, Long Reach of Night is a very nice saga. Makes us sack a creature, discard a card 2 turns in a row, then it becomes a nice big menacer. Solidly sized blocker as well. I'm going to play the Centipede here, I think. Though I could Synthesizer, get a 1-1, then I have a 1-1 to sack to Long Reach of Night. Might be a little greedy, but I want to kind of mitigate the damage that Long Reach of Night is going to do to us here. Oh, and that works so well. Now we're living in Magical Christmas Land. I suppose I should have sacked Synthesizer to Anvil first. In case I had a better 3-drop to play than Centipede. I got a little too overly excited about all that. Yeah, and I could have done 1 more point of damage. That was a very sloppily played turn there. Sloppy sequencing. The idea was good, just the execution was poor. Virus Beetle now. That's pretty dang nice. Pretty dang nice. Yeah, and Oni Colt Anvil's just gonna kinda win us the game here. Attack both, they only kill one of these. Then I get a 1-1 when they do. Okay, that is all good with me on board. Anvil's going to poop out a 1-1 for us. So we're not sacking to Anvil this turn, since we're just trading in combat. And then we will pass the turn, and we have Gravelighter to kill their big Animus of Night. Animus of Night's Reach. Alright, here comes Gravelighter. I'm going to do this pre-common to get that out of the way, but I think I do sacrifice the artifact instead of the Gravelighter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I make them lose a life here. I guess I do just as much damage by sacking the 1-1 on the ground, because it would have hit them for 1, but it also hit them for 1 because it replaced itself and got an extra damage off Songshaper. Some really nice stuff, some huge synergy with the Songshaper and the Oni Colt Anvil, and that is going to be a 7-win run, a trophy run for the return to Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Premier Drafts. Really fun deck here. Really fun day. We just lost to some pretty great decks from our opponent. Lost to that double Kappa Tech Wrecker deck that stabilized off double Kappa Tech Wrecker, then started playing, 5/5 Vigilance Hastes and 6/4 Trampling Tanukis, all the big green stuff you start doing later in the game. And then my memory is horrible because I don't remember the other loss. Was not as memorable as the double Kappa Tech Wrecker deck. But yeah, really great deck overall. That was just kind of showing where the Tawashi Songshapers are at their absolute best in an aggressive deck like this. They're generally not the most exciting thing ever, not the thing you take super highly. They're just a nice filler 2-drop for a relatively aggressive deck, but in this color pair, in the red-black deck, where you can get those extra tokens off Unequal Anvil and stuff like that, these can just shred in for that early damage. Patchwork Automaton was super exciting, super spicy. Goro never did a single thing. That's why Goro is not the most exciting rare ever, but Goro did threaten to make a 5/5 flyer in one of those games, I think. We had a modified creature out with Goro and like 4 mana up, and then I think Goro got blown up by Master's Rebuke or something, because the fear was there. But yeah, pretty much everything in the deck did its job pretty well. Nothing massively overperformed or massively underperformed. Just big fan of the deck, had a fun time, and I'm very excited to play some more Kamigawa Neon Dynasty Premier Drafts very soon. So, as always at the end of the video, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more videos like this, especially more Neon Dynasty drafts, those will be right around the corner. Just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send some more of these videos to you in your recommended feeds. Other than that, just thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.